Mother's Day next Sunday. Next Sunday. So don't forget that. We're honoring Mom. Mother's Day, and Mom means a lot to, means something different to us. Those of us who have lost our moms have already gone home to be with the Lord. But we also honor women, all girls, young women, womanhood. It's the subject of last Sunday's message, and today, and also next Sunday, a three-part message. But we're thinking about women and mothers. Let's go on, Carter, to the next slide. Several things I want to say to you. We'll be talking, the title of the message today is a help meet. And sometimes we've heard Eve spoken of. It seems to be almost like it was one word in Genesis 2:18. God made Eve for Adam as a helpmeet, many people say. But the word meet means, it's a way of saying a helper just exactly like he needed. A helper, offering the kind of help that he needed. Now, the question was asked last Sunday, but in the month of May, our Honduras Christmas box contribution is clothes, all kinds of t-shirts and shorts, dresses, onesies, and flip-flops. I heard someone say today, said, don't ever get in fight with a man wearing flip-flops, because obviously he has no intention of running away. So be careful. Always kind of take in all of your surroundings and see what's going on. But Christmas boxes, you can see our birthdays there. And we're talking to you just in these few minutes. We're living in an age where I guess I probably have been slow to make adjustment. But we used to promote our church and the things that our church was doing in the newspaper. We would pass out flyers throughout the community. We'd put things up on neighborhood bulletin boards. We even put up ads on the television in various different electronic ways. We used to print a paper bulletin every Sunday. But you know, in all of my many years as pastor, I remember in all those years, after everybody else was gone home, I usually would see about half the bulletins that I had printed for that specific service were still in the pews. People just took one, or one was handed to them, and that just left it there. And so I've often, or almost always, questioned how effective printing a prayer request or printing a bulletin would be. So we started doing that electronically. Everybody has a phone. So let me make several statements about that. Let's go to the next slide there, Carter. Now, this is our prayer warrior, and that's our prayer list. And I hope that you use a list of some kind. If you don't have your own list of keeping track of people that you're praying for, I hope that you're being faithful to pray for other people. Pray for yourself, of course, but pray for others. I don't know everything about prayer. I don't understand about everything about prayer. If there is something good to be done, why doesn't God just do it? Well, he wants to involve us in the ministry of helping others. And there is something that God is doing in and through prayer and us making our requests. And so pray for each other. Here's a prayer list. It is published on the church's Facebook page, the Facebook group. It's on the pastor's Facebook page, so you can have an electronic copy of that. You can download it into your own phone if you want to, but pray for others. And that's our prayer guide. We publish one every week. And so if you have a phone or a laptop or a computer or a tablet or a pad, you have access to this. And there are more and more and more people. We're actually reaching more people than if we printed something and it was only held by those that we gave a copy to. Also, that squiggly looking thing over on the left-hand side, that's on the back page of our bulletin. It's on the back page of our prayer guide. It's called a QR code. Now, I would have to confess that I'm very electronically astute. I have to be for my other vocation, but I'm a little bit slow on the uptake about QR codes. But if you go out to eat at Pizza Hut today, on your table or on your menu, there's going to be a QR code that looks just like that. If you have a newspaper or if you get something in the mail, if you get a bill, it's going to have a QR. And your kids or your grandkids can tell you what it is, what it means. What it means is if you put your phone in picture mode, like you're going to take a photograph, and you scan that, you point it at that square right there, it will take you automatically and immediately to our church website. Now we try to put some very repetitive information, the kind of information that never changes in our bulletin and in our prayer guide. So a lot of the information never changes. It's always the same because it's always the same. But if anyone who will click on that QR code can go to our website, and there are all kinds of things. One of the first things you'll see there's a gospel presentation. How can I meet Jesus? So someone that needs to know the Lord, if they will use their phone or use their tablet or pad or computer, they can go to our website that has tons of it. It has old services, videos. You can even go there and hear Larry Whitman's testimony from years ago. And you can hear Danny Ward preaching, or you can see Randy preaching. You can hear every song that the Reeves have ever sung at our church by going to our website. So I feel that's a big winner right there. Let's go on to the next slide there, Carter. There's a QR code that's in our newsletter. Just about everything that's in our Prayer Warrior and everything that's in our bulletin is also in the newsletter. Now, since you get those, if you're on Facebook or if I have your email address, you probably get those every week. And something that you get every week, you probably just completely ignore it. Well, don't do that. Everything is not absolutely the same. There's always some new information. There's always exactly what you need and probably the answer to any question you have. Now, here our sign. There have been times when I've put, it's Mother's Day or it's Easter on our sign. But what I really like to try to do is get people who are driving by our church and see our sign, I'd like to get them to our website. If I can get them to our website, I can say 1,000 times more than I can say on the sign. So if they drive by here every day, they're going to work or going home, whatever, if I can get them to our church website, they have our church calendar there. There, of course, are directions to our church that they can follow or share with others. There are videos. There are links that lead them to various places that are very important and maybe just lots of other things that they may be interested in. Let's go on. There's another QR code or two. Let's go on to the next slide. Also, I've always told everybody that if I was ever involved in a church and we were going to build a church in a certain place, what are we going to call our church? You know what I've told people? I would always name that church its address or its location. I would call our church, of course I'm not making any kind of motion that we change the name of our church, but if we were a brand new church, I'd call it the Bethel Road Baptist Church. Now, a little bit farther down the road, there is a Bethel Baptist Church, but they're not the Bethel Road Baptist Church. But I would have the name of our church, the 10th Street Baptist Church or the 5th Avenue Baptist Church. Where's your church at? This guy can say, who is buried in Grant's tomb? So, I believe some of the most important information is not a little pithy quote or a humorous saying, but when to come. Come and be with us at 10 o'clock for Bible study and fellowship and 11 o'clock for worship. We have fellowship and discipleship and worship every Sunday. Every Sunday. So that's what's on our sign. One side has our website location. The other has what time we're here and what time they should come. So I've kind of gotten into a place in my senior pastoral years. Those are the two most important things I believe that we can say, and that puts them in contact with us and with our church. So I may every once in a while change the message on our sign, but for the most part, I believe that what's on it right now is the most important thing. We'll keep gravitating back to that. Now, when you see these things on my Facebook page, are on the church Facebook page. Please share those things to your page. If you'll look at any of those entries, any of those posts, and scroll down to the bottom of that post, there's a little button there that says share. If you're interested in inviting people to our church, or telling people about what's going on at our church, or what God's doing in our church, then tell them. You click on share, and then another screen will come up and it'll say share now. You can always share anything about our church that you want to on your page. There are lots of people that go to your page, your friends, your co-workers, your family members, your neighbors. They don't go to my page, and they don't go to the church information. Sharing stuff about what we put in our church promotional sites is a way for you to invite people to our church. Share. Put that on your page. Also, that's another way of telling people we're praying for others. We're praying for you. Can we put you on our prayer list? So please, if you have a Facebook account, share these things on your Facebook page. It's very easy to do. If you need more help with that, let me know. Okay, let's go on, Carter. Next up. You may not know what an azer kenegdo is. Actually, I'm beginning to hear that. Nearly everybody knows that agape is the Greek word for love in the New Testament. It's become part of our culture, Christian culture at any rate. Agape is love. It's the Greek word for love. Azer kenegdo are the words in Genesis 2:18 when it says, God said that it was not good for a man to be alone, and he created the woman for him to be a help meet. The Hebrew words are azer kenegdo. Let's look at that next slide there. I found a picture of Eve with at the riverside with the dinosaurs. That was pretty cool. All right. There are the Hebrew words, azer kenegdo. And azer is a helper. Kenegdo means just right, or perfect, or suitable, or there's so many different ways. Appropriate, worthy. God describes this new creature, woman, as azer kenegdo, a help meet. This is just what Adam needs. And when Adam woke up from his surgery, he was pretty much of the same conclusion. This is just what I needed. You know, I think God gives gifts sometimes like men do. And I think the reason men often are the way we are is maybe because in some ways we're like God. God saw that Adam was alone, so he got him a dog and a cat and a giraffe and a monkey and an elephant, and he created the animals, and he brought all, here Adam, and Adam says, this is really cool, and it never implies that Adam ever complained or was unhappy. But God looked down and said, no, that's not it. That's not it. So he created a woman, a help meet. Now, some women have taken offense at that. It kind of sounds like the woman is the assistant, that she's the submissive help. She's the work. She's the servant. God created Adam, and then as an afterthought, God created woman. That's not the story at all. Let me show you a little bit about the scriptural lineage of this concept. Look at the next, we're already at the next slide. In Exodus 18:4, it says the name of the other was Eleazar. And I was talking about Moses' children. Moses had two sons, and one of them he named Eleazar, for the God of my father, said he, was my helper. That's what the Hebrew word Eleazar means. He named his son Eleazar. God was my helper and delivered me from the sword of Pharaoh. You see, to be an azer as a woman for Adam is not a secondary or a subservient role, because God, Moses said, God is our Azer. He's our helper. God created someone to do, at that point in Adam's existence, what he could not do. Adam and God were together, and God says Adam is alone. God and Adam's alone. It's almost as if God wasn't even there. God said, I'm going to make somebody who is there. You can always tell when a woman is there. You know why? Because she's talking. Sometimes she's not talking and you look over and you say, what's wrong? What's the matter? And then she says, you know what you've done. If you don't know, I'm not going to tell you. I heard someone this week saying, it's Leanne Summers, I think she's a new comedian. She ran into this dichotomy. You see, men, we only have a certain number of words that we can use every day. And usually when we come home from work, we've used up all of our words. I talk on the phone to people all over the country all day long. If you ever call me after I get off work, you may sense that I'm not all that excited about talking to you on the phone. Now, Terry understands me because when she calls me, it's pretty much a series of grunts. Yeah, no, yep, bye. And and sometimes when a man comes home, there's a possibility that her wife has probably only used a fraction of her words for that day. And she's full of words. But her husband is used up. He's used all his words, and he just wants to sit and be still and quiet and stare off into space. Well, that's a challenge. That's a challenge. Let's go on to another slide there, Carter. Deuteronomy 33:7 says, and this is the blessing of Judah. And he said, hear, Lord, the voice of Judah, and bring him to his people. Let his hands be sufficient for him, and be a helper to him from his enemies. It's the word Azer. Help. Be a helper, God, for Judah. This is Jacob praying for one of his sons, one of his 12 sons. He's putting a blessing on Judah, and he's saying, God, be Judah's helper. It's pretty important for a woman, I think, to be described with a word. That's really the only place in the whole Bible where a woman is called an Azer, and God is called our helper all through the Bible. But Eve and all women since then, a part of God's plan for their life was for them to be able to do what God wanted them to do in the life of their husbands, in the life of their family, and in the lives of their children. Let's go on, Carter. Deuteronomy 33:26. There is none like unto God, the God of Jeshurun, who rides upon the heaven in your help, and his excellency on the sky. See, God rides upon the heavens, and he's scanning the earth for an opportunity to be our helper. Let's go on to the next slide there, Carter. Psalm 33:20 says, our soul waits for the Lord. He is our help and our shield. We honor women. We honor our wives. We honor our mothers. They were so important in the plan and the working of God. I do believe, I don't believe it's just a stereotype, but I do believe that there's a sensitivity and an openness, a compassion, and a spiritual depth that only is in the heart and mind of a woman, that makes her the very perfect tuning fork for connecting with God. She is in touch with her feelings and her emotions and her thoughts in ways that men seldom learn. Yes, we know in the story of Adam and Eve that Eve sinned, and then she led her husband into sin. It's an old story that men also reverse the roles, and sometimes they lead their wives or their other members of their family away from God. Yes, that happens. But ultimately, men and women would grow and learn how to be alone with God and discover through our helpers that He placed in our lives that God is our helper and our shield. Let's look at the next slide. In Psalm 70, verse 5, it said, "But I am poor and needy, make haste unto me, O God. You are my helper and my deliverer." Let's go to the next slide. Now this is an important verse right here because it's talking about an individual. It's talking about a person. This is a messianic passage. It's in the Old Testament. It's in Psalm 89:19. It says, "Then you spoke in a vision to the Holy One." Now you have to be a Bible student before you know that in the Old Testament that the concept of the Holy One or the Holy One of Israel is a common occurrence. And said, "I have laid help upon one that is mighty." A particular one. He's talking to the Holy One. "I have exalted one chosen from among the people." He's talking about the Messiah. He says, "I've laid help upon him. I've taken help." And what it means is laid it upon him. It means it's become his responsibility. It's become a part of his purpose. It's become a part of the reason that he was chosen. Do you know who this is about right here in the Old Testament?
Jesus Christ.
It's talking about Jesus. We believe Jesus is the Holy One of Israel. We believe that Jesus is the one. He's the chosen one. When Jesus stood up to read in the synagogue there at Nazareth, he says, "The Spirit of the Lord is upon me, because He's anointed me to preach the gospel to the poor, to heal the brokenhearted, to set free those who are captives." He was describing the purpose, the commission of the Holy One, the one that they were looking for, the one they are expecting. In the Old Testament, the Bible teaches so very clearly, yes, that God has created and put many helps in our life, many people and many things to bring us to an understanding of who He is so that we can learn to be with Him and learn how to be alone with Him. And now the Bible begins to say God is going to send a particular special one. And I've laid help upon him. I've piled all the help I've got on him. He's bringing it with him. Let's look at that next slide. Hebrews 13:6. You need to memorize this verse. It says, "So that we may boldly say, the Lord is my helper, and I will not fear what men shall do to me." Look at that last slide there, Carter. My help comes from the Lord. This is a story, a sermon about women, about the first woman, about the women in our lives, and how God can use you, ladies, as a helper. Sometimes we think of man as having the skill or the ability or the strength or the power or the presence. But there are so many other powers that God has given to womankind that far outweigh the gifts of men. Not to be just someone who kneels at the feet of someone to be their helper, but to someone who does the work of God, who is a helper like God is a helper in our lives. It's a pretty funny line that I see that a lot of comedians pick up. I heard a lady on stage recently, she was talking about she had 3 failed marriages, and she wanted to tell all the men there, says, "I'm going to tell you something, ladies, you will never change your man. You'll never change him. Just forget about it. As a matter of fact, after you marry him, he might even get worse. You can't fix him. You can't grow him up. You can't mature him. But I want to tell you something. That's not true. Two people that have had the greatest impact in my life were my grandmother and my mother. And all through the years, I spoke with you last week about how Terry has blessed me and my ministry and our family through adding her to me and us becoming a partnership, a ministry. Ladies, you can be so influential. You can pray people into position. You can give great advice. You can love as no one else can love. There's no one in your whole life who will ever love you like your mother. They're influential. I know that the women that God has placed in my life, so many of them, have grown me and strengthened me and empowered me. They have been tremendously influential. Randy turned 70 years old this week. He said he had a good birthday. You know, he loves you and he loves the Lord. He loves our church. But do you know who he talks about more to me? Because when we're just friends. When we're just in the car together or at his house or here at the church. You know who he talks about, who he quotes more, and who he mentions more every single time we have a conversation more than anybody else in his whole life?
My mom.
That's right. His mother. And listen, when I go over and I'm in his home, she's there with him. She's there with him. And he's never far from his mind or his heart.
That's great.
God bless you, ladies. Let God use you. You have far more power than you'll ever know. Let's pray together. Lord Jesus, thank you for this wonderful idea. Thank you for our help. And thank you for our helpers. We honor women, girls, women, and mothers. And thank you for what they've taught us and how they've loved us and how they've helped us just like you. If there is someone here today who doesn't have the love and care and concern and the guidance of a mother, I pray that they would find some other helper, someone who would be in your place, in your stead, in their life to bring them to you. For I pray it in Jesus' name. Amen. God bless you folks today. Our invitation is always open, and I'm always trying to be the very last person to leave the church. If you ever wish to speak with me, if you have a question, I would not consider it an interruption or an intrusion at all. That's our invitation. I want to help you. There are other people here in our church who are, everyone, a wonderful Christian, men and women. And if you have a question, or we can encourage you, if you're in our viewing audience, if you need to contact us, I would be glad to come and meet with you, to pray with you, or to pray for you. That's our invitation. It comes from the Lord. Is there anything I've overlooked or forgotten today? Anything that I've failed to do? Anything that I've neglected? All right. God bless you all. And you're dismissed. Go out into the partial sunshine. Run between those clouds as you have opportunity to get those rays in that vitamin D. God bless you all.
Thank you. I want to show you Jack's.